After a lengthy break following on from the festive holidays, the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge is back for season 14, resuming here at round 8 at America's National Park of Speed, Road America, as you join myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and James Parfitt for today's 60-minute adventure around this just over 4-mile circuit, measuring around about 6.41 kilometres. Located just off of Highway number 67 in Wisconsin, just off of the iconic Elkhart Lake. This circuit has remained unchanged and still very much a challenge since the 1950s. And more to the point, while the drivers have had an opportunity to get themselves rested, refreshed and relaxed ahead of what is going to be an interesting dynamic season. But before we bring James Parfitt into the booth, we need to take you through what is currently happening, reference all these kinds of different championship situations that we do have at the moment. So more to the point, you have to look at, first of all, GT prototype, and at the moment Pal Pelchat is leading the way. Nathan Dowd is in second on 121 with Adolfo Perez for Composite Performance Titanium rounding out the top three. Pelchat will be running in the Acura 06 for this round. Then you've got Dominic Dorenberg for Composite Performance Carbon rounding out the top four. Billy Smith in fifth ahead of Ryan Waszleski. Paul Darling, Maximilian Muir, Trevor Wawrowski, Vance Bad, and Paul Gibson round out the standings in GTP. Then we head over to LMP2 as our next port of call. And, well, at the minute, Robert Cast and Keda Kundinger are level on points, but Cast has now moved up after the 60 minutes of Mugello to the GTP class. So Kundiger's now got a lead of 33 points heading into this 8th round of the season, ahead of Robert Tinsey. Cadin Richardson now moves to Composite Performance Carbon, following Cast's move up to GTP. Mo Islam rounds out the top 5 ahead of Andrew Parker, with Leif Peterson, Kevin Binkley, Brandon Walker, and Fozzie Fazzillo rounding out the top 10. Derek Cyphers, Christian Julian, Westy Bryce and Brian Corwin round out the 14 that have scored points so far. Penultimate class in the championship is, of course, the iconic GTD class. And it is, at the moment, a composite performance 1-2 at the moment, with Titanium leading platinum, courtesy of Ross Booth, ahead of Nicholas Davis. Young Park, the privateer, rounds out the top 3. The top 3, the only drivers so far that have gotten into the triple digits on championship scorings, ahead of Bradley Haley and Christopher Paes for Sector 5 Racing and Imperial Motorsports. Alex Simonich, Ryan Robertson, Michael Ross, Dominic Zeoli, Paul Schmudlak and Patrick Fogel round out the 11 scorers so far. And then we do have our GTD AM classification, which is the last one before we go on to the teams. And Joshua Wolf for Sector 5 is leading, but it's only 16 points advantage. He has over Ed Iron Ring and also Parker Dewham. They both are on 111 points apiece. Miguel de Souza, Dale Green ran out the top 5, with Austin Diltz, Morgan Smith, Chris Sherburn, Mark Kudrowski rounding out the top 9. But with Tom Hammond rounding out the top 10 for Rumble Strip Racing, and then number 51, with 51 points. Shane Hunter, Sean Rees, Colby Kersey, Paul Lindsay, Sheldon Rosenbaum, Antoine Decatch, and then we've got Adam Satterfield and Carsten Quint rounding out that. In the teams, Composite Performance Titanium are leading on 140.3 points, just 2.3 ahead of Sector 5 Racing. Composite Performance Carbon in, my apologies there. It's Platinum that leads the way on 142 points. Composite Performance Titanium, Sector 5 Racing ran at the top 3 as the checkered flag comes out for qualifying. Composite Performance Carbon round out 4th on 125.8 points, ahead of Imperial Motorsports in 5th, with Satellite Racing and Rumble Strip Racing rounding out the top 7. And with that in mind, a very, very big hello to my colleague and partner in crime in the commentary box, James Parfitt. Welcome back, buddy, and Happy New Year, first of all.
Happy New Year, dude. How are you? Hope you are well. We're back once again, picking up the Autobahn Season 14, Round 8 at this circuit. Going to be an absolute banger. That's all we can safely say about that. Road America, it's been on, they run it on the schedule in every season so far. Even down season 13, it was used. It's been used for all seasons of the Autobahn, and it will still be used again here for this one. I think this is going to be very interesting. Traffic management, big part. Big, massive part. Canada Corner, the kink, all through the carousel. That is going to be the main area that I think we're going to see some quite interesting incidents and accidents if it is going to happen. They've got to play it by ear up through that part. And of course, we've got what the one and only, the new Ferrari 499 is on the grid with at the hands of Sheldon Rosenbaum. So that's going to be interesting to see how that does at the same time. Bit of changes, obviously, as you said earlier on, with some people swapping teams and you know, going round and stuff like that. But I think all in all, these drivers are going to come back. You know, we've got 26 on track. Tom Hammond, Fozzie Vizzello and Austin Dills haven't set times, so we'll have to see if they get onto the grid. But then we're going to be up and running, and then it's going to kick off. And to be honest with you, I think this is one that we're going to sit back and think, wow, because it's either going to go, wow, we're going to see great racing, or wow, this is just going to go Pete Tong with people going off all over the place with traffic management. So see what happens.
Yeah. Definitely the case. I mean, backmarker traffic is going to be very crucial, especially when you look at our GTD AM field, who are GT3 competitors running, and they are under a 3,500 I rating. So GTPs are going to be having to do their due diligence. But of course, we've got the iconic LMP2 class as part of this. The Autobahn Sports Car Challenge runs very much like IMSA. You know, you look at the calendar that we've had so far: Daytona, Watkins Glen, Suzuka, Spa, Red Bull Ring, Mid-Ohio, then Mugello. And after this, we've got Montreal, we've got Belle Isle, Cota, Sebring, Mosport, and Road Atlanta to round out the season. But of course, it is going to be a case as we sit on board with Sheldon Rosenbaum and the number 87499 Ferrari. What a wonderful car to finally have on the iRacing service. But of course, 60 minutes will decide what is going to happen at the respective tops of the championships. Of course, these drivers have been having a nice little bit of a rest and a relaxation. We have 6 sectors here at Road America. It hasn't really changed since it was opened back in 1950, but there you see the colour associations with regards to the classes. GTP will be yellow, LMP2 will be purple, GTD blue, and light green for GTD AM. You mentioned about some of the iconic corners we've got here, James, as well. Kettle Bottom's Canada Corner. I mean, we're going to see these GTPs roar through the kink and into Canada Corner at a big lick of speed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But on the other side of that, if they go on the outside of a GT3, which is also roaring through at a big lick of speed, and that GT3 is going to wash out, and everybody knows they wash out, it could lead to some interesting on-track moments becoming off-track incidents. Let's put it this way. Off-tracks here aren't really a major issue, okay? They're not as major as if we was at the Red Bull Ring or Spa or somewhere like that. So that's not going to be a problem. But the only off-tracks will be on the overtakes. If there's a miscommunication between a GT3 and a GTP, and don't forget the LMP2s, whether or not the LMP2s are going to be lapped here, I'd be interested to see how that works, because there's not a massive speed difference at this moment in time between GTP and LMP2. So I think we'll see how they get on. Pit stops coming as well. Don't forget 80% for GTP fuel, 90% for LMP2, and 67% for GTD and GTD-AMs. So everybody's got to make a pit stop at some point.
Yeah, no balance of performance to speak of for all respective classes, as Paul Pelchat in the Acura 06 will lead the field through the final few corners. We're just about making our way through turn number 14. The Porsche safety car will peel into pit lane. Very misty here at Road America as the Porsche pace car peels into pit road. Only 4 GTPs. Pat Pelchat will wait for that opportune moment to hit the throttle hard here at America's National Park of Speed. The red lights are on, and Pelchat has already bolted ahead of Nathan Dowd, with Robert Cast and Sheldon Rosenbaum rounding out the top 4, or the only 4 in that class. Of course, Billy Smith not going through, but Tinsley's leading in LMP2. What's happening down at the moment as we're waiting, I think, for GTD and GTD AM to get going here, James? Yeah, at the moment he's got an 8/10 of a second lead as the field makes its way through the carousel at turns 9 and 10 for the opening time. Of course, 60 minutes on the clock for these drivers, and Pelchat looks to be very much planted. Dowd in the Caddy, along with Cast also running in the Cadillac, and Rosenbaum bringing the 499 GTP car from Ferrari, the prancing horse. Good to see that car on the grid as well. Ross Booth has just got past Christopher Pies for position, and Booth has made up 5 spots already on the grid, but he is now currently 5th in GTD. There you see the 03 Porsche. And nice to see, well, Alex Simonich running in the McLaren 720S GT3. Of course, we've got good old Mustang on the grid as well. It wouldn't be an Autobahn Sports Car Challenge without the pony being represented here on this grid. Yeah, that's the thing. I think we're at that halfway point of the season now. You know, everything kicked off back in late September of last year, and now this is where you start building towards that championship push. And when we get into the final quarter, the final third of the championship season, that's when the teams are really going to have to worry about what's happening now as we run on board with Composite Performance Titanium's number 11 of Andrew Parker in LMP2. So he's only about half a second behind Kadin Richardson.
Big moments for Josh Wolf with Ed Eisenring leading the class and him at the back end.
Yeah, it looked like that contact was at T5 coming through the moraine swing before. So, but it's early in the race, folks. What we do have to remember with these 60-minute encounters, pit stops will happen. That depends on obviously the strategy called by the respective teams and drivers in their classes. So, more to the point, it will be the case of how does Joshua Wolf strategize to come back from that turnaround? And it's not an easy one to do, but he's got traffic in front. The nearest one up in front of him is the Lamborghini Huracan GTD Am of Sean Rees. Then he's got Tom Hammond in the iconic Audi R8 just in front. Chris Sherburn in the Acura NSX running out the top 22 is also there. So this is going to mean that Josh Wolf is going to have the opportunity to get through maybe over the next couple of laps. But, folks, we are just about, we're 5 minutes in, and I would probably imagine with the way that our GTPs at the moment, Pelchat leading by now nearly 2 seconds from Nathan Dowd, I would imagine probably by the 15-minute mark is where we're going to see the GTPs intermingle with the GTD Ams here, James, and that's then going to spice up the race a little bit more.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if it's coming towards the end of this lap. You can see the GTDs on the right-hand side there, closed. They're just going in through turn 6. This is Josh Wolf. The only good thing is he's got an 8-second gap to Ed Eisenring, so he can try and definitely make that up if he can but he has got the GTPs closing in at a rapid rate of knots, led, of course, from Pat Pelshap, Nathan Dow, Robert Cash, Sheldon Rosenbaum, and Billy Smith. So I think, if anything, is going to be towards the very end of this lap. It's taken them all of about 7 minutes and 4 laps to catch up to these guys, and I think it's going to continue. Then they've got the LMP2s coming through. They're all starting to settle down at the moment. Robert Tinsley is trying to get away from Caden Richardson, who is tucked in behind by about 6/10. They're coming down into turn number 5 before they go up under the bridge with 6. And most of the action at the moment is coming down from the GTDs, down with Simonek, Park, Davis, Healy, Booth, of course, in the GTD class, leading the championships. Had a great season so far. He's got to now come back through the field and try and make his way forward. He's had a couple of rough rounds in Mid-Ohio and Mugello, where he finished, I would say rough, but he finished 2nd and 4th. But that does counter the fact that he's won every round up until Mid-Ohio, where he finished in 2nd and then 4th at Mugello. So he needs to sort of get his mojo back, get back up into that 1st place, and see if he can take the class win here.
Yeah, I mean, saying that 4th is a bad result, yeah, probably in the eyes of the competitor themselves. So also drivers being informed through the official briefing for round 8 that there is an incident limit in effect. They'll have 20 allowed incidents. Further incidents beyond that will result for every 5x incident points after the initial 20, and that will then be a slam dunk drive-through penalty, which no one wants to have, especially on how much that can cost you here at Road America. Of course, it's not the longest pit lane. The longest pit lane on the calendar is Spa-Francorchamps, but still, that will be a pretty heavy hit if your incident points go over 25 in this race, because everyone's got to keep it nice and neat and tidy at the moment.
Oh, mate, it's going to be a minute. They're going to lose at least a minute. That's trundling through, let's not forget, as well. That's not even 1960s F1 where you hurtled in at full speed, hit the brakes, got the car stopped, got your tyres changed, and then you hurtle back out at full speed. No, this is trundling down the pit lane. I think it's like 60 kph, I think it is, that they've got to do down the pit lane. So, and it is fairly long. You know, that start-finish line and that sector of that racetrack is literally longer than my high street where I live. So, you know, and it doesn't take me long to get through there. So if they're trundling up there through 60, trust me, it's going to be a big old time loss for them at this moment in time. We've still got Richardson closing in on Tinsley. Doesn't really look like he's making a move. Dow Green, however, this is an interesting one because Josh Wolf is trying to clear both of these. He's cleared Tom Hammond, he's cleared Sean Rees. He's now trying to get through Chris Sherborne and Dow Green. Green kind of sitting there, almost a cork in a bottle with Austin Diltz just a little bit up the road. And as we say about GTPs, they have started going through and have made their way through GTDs. Took them 6 laps in all to get to the front of the GTD queue.
So we are on the verge of hitting 10 minutes out of 60 completed here for round 8 of season 14 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge. And thank you very much to everyone that is currently watching on the JP Broadcasting Network, the official broadcast partner with this particular championship. Of course, there's plenty more racing still to come. Whatever strikes your fancy, whether it's tin tops, whether it's single seaters, whether it's sports cars like we've got now, as we ride on board with Billy Smith the second, and he's very, very close to some of the GTDs, and I think he's just got past one of the Acura. I think that was that the Acura, or was that something else? I think that might have been one of the Porsches.
No, that is the Acura, because that's Josh Wolf in front in the McLaren. He's just cleared him as well, and coming up to Dale Green, he should get. There we go, just before we go into turn number 8. Now we've got the long carousel. It's here where he's going to meet the rest of them. Austin Diltz, Morgan Smith, Kudrowski, Eisenring, Paz, all at the same time. You can see them just going down the road here. I just wanted to see how he was going to handle coming down into Canada corner, because this is going to be a major corner that I think if he's going to get there, this could be the major drama point. This could be the sticking scenario. So he's made it through here, and going through now what is done 12, wiggling into 13. 13A is just going through now. He's got to come on the inside, now coming into 14. And you see the amount of work that he had to put in to try and get past them. Very difficult through that sector. I would not want to be a GTP, and I certainly wouldn't want to be in a GT3.
Well, the thing is that with Billy Smith II running in the Acura, did you see the amount of wiggle that back end got as soon as he came out of the kink to go up the inside of Austin Dilts? Like, literally, if he'd have pushed that throttle any harder, that would have been straight off exit stage right into the barriers, off of 11A at the kettle bottoms. Someone's race would have been ruined already.
Yep, and that's the drama and the challenges that they meet when they start doing this, when they start wiggling their way through traffic. That's one of the major problems. You know, they've got to be aware of the situation. We're coming into 5 again. He might be able to get one. If he dives for the second one, this could be dramatic. And that is why they don't dive for the second one.
And there was nearly James Parfitt needing the standby defibrillator in the commentary box as a direct result.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh yeah, 100% agree with you there. But yeah, Billy Smith II in the number 70 Acura 06 getting through, sweeping around the outside at the carousel. Now that just goes to show the speed differential between our GTPs and our GTDs, and well, you can see how fast Billy Smith II was going through. He's now going to hit 180 miles an hour, I think, heading into Canada corner. Then he's going to bang it down from 7th into 3rd at about 100 miles an hour. That's a lot of speed to scrub off. That's about the effective speed limit on a UK, let's say the M25 or the M1, for instance, 70 miles an hour, and he's scrubbing off like that. That's how big the speed differentials is, not just on acceleration, but also on braking, as the GTDs making their way through into Canada corner, into the braking zone at about 160. They're scrubbing off over half the speed to about 70 miles an hour, but still you can get that aero backwash from the bigger vehicles like the LMP2s, like the GTPs, and we've seen it before, not just in sim racing, but also in IRL, where the downwash from the aero on the car in front can sometimes cause you to have a little bit of a drama, let's say. Yeah,
there's drama in a lot of things, especially if a car comes straight across your nose goes light, and next thing you know, hello dear sir, your nose is in the barrier on board with Robert Tinsley in the LMP2. There you can see the difference between him and Caden Richardson taking this situation. Tinsley's already got up the road. It's that pressure situation for Richardson now. He knows he needs to clear these cars, but at the moment he's just got to make sure he can do it cleanly enough. If he can't do it cleanly enough, he's going to be in trouble, and it's all going to go wrong. It's very difficult being in second. You really kind of do want to be at the front of the queue. If you can get to the front of your queue, so front of LMP2, front of GTP, to make your way through traffic first. It takes all the pressure off you, and you can see at the moment it's 2.4 seconds that Richardson has lost just by hitting the traffic, because Tinsley's on the road, and there's the first off track.
Yeah, and that was coming through turn 10 at the cap. Was that turn 10, I think? I wasn't 100% sure, but just firing it around the outside at a big rate of speed, all four wheels going into the kitty litter. But as we come up to the 1 quarter mark in terms of the timer counting down from 60 minutes, Pat Palchak leads in GTP, Robert Tinsley in LMP2, Alex Simonich in the McLaren for GTD, and Ed Eisenring for Stuttgart's finest for Porsche, leading in GTD AM. But Caden Richardson currently running in P2 in the LMP2 class. Again, just having to showcase not just what we've seen in GTP, but also in LMP2. Of course, the class no longer run in the World Endurance Championship, having gone to dual categories as of last year for the LMDH GTP equivalent, and also for LMGT3. But you can see now that this is quite a bit of a hairy moment. Richardson on the blinkers, trying to get through on one of the Mustangs, and then the Lamborghini Huracan just in front. So again, just micromanaging the traffic is crucial here, not just at Road America, but the remaining circuits that we'll have to go here in season number 14.
Yeah, I do love the comment in YouTube chat, Shapeshift. What are the odds on Billy Smith II finishing the race or finishing someone else's race? Well, give me 5 minutes, I'll draw them up on a window and see what I can come up with. I don't know.
Answers on a postcard, please.
Yeah, let us know what you think. That was very close. Billy, it was a bit hairy for Billy going through the traffic, so it'd be interesting to see what happens on the next go-around, which isn't going to be very long, to be blatantly honest. I think the LMP2s, well, we said they might not be lapped, but at the moment, Pat Pelchap is absolutely flying, and there is an LMP2 just going into turn 5, which is Carter Cunningham, who started in pit lane and is caught up to the back of the pack. Now, one of the things, Ross Booth coming through the field as well. He's up at 3 from where he started. At the moment, he's got Bradley Haley in the Mustang. The problem is for Mr. Booth at the moment is that Mustang has got some naff little horses behind him, and the Porsche isn't the quickest as sometimes we've seen before, and as you can see, he can't even get near him going into Canada corner.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we all know that the Porsche 911 992 GT3 is always a storm when it comes to handling, but then when you've got cars such as a naturally aspirated fire-breathing V8 like we've got underneath the Mustang's bonnet, under the hood, that's why it's the legs on the Porsche going down the straight line stuff that you're seeing here. It's so close to wall on the left-hand side at about 135 plus miles an hour. As Bradley Haley, the number 428 Mustang for Sector 5 Racing, trying to do what he can to stay into the top 4, maybe even try and challenge Nicholas Davis in the third place car. Then we see one of the LMP2s trying to make their way through. That's Robert Tinsey, the LMP2 class leader for Satellite Racing. And well, when you look at it, Robert Tinsey's best effort so far, he's had 2 third places and a second. He had a fourth at Mugello. Daytona of the season opener, he was P5. Suzuka at round 3 was 7th, and then the Red Bull Ring at round 5. So he's been there or thereabouts towards potentially getting a win, but Robert Cast, who's made the move up to GTP, has now left the torch quite literally being passed to Carter Cunningham, who will find this to be probably his second lowest result of the season, because he's already had 2 wins and 4 second places, with a 5th at Watkins Glen at round 2.
Yeah, I think it's been certain racetrack. It's like anything, to be honest. You don't like every racetrack, right? I don't. There's some tracks that drive me crazy, and that is Josh Wolf again.
Oh no!
At the same corner, I believe, as well. Coming down, he's gone.
That's 6.
Yeah. Oh, that's all on his own. Back end of that McLaren just said no. And unfortunately for Josh Wolf, all his hard work has literally just gone out the window as he's dropped all the way down to the back, towards the back end again. He's literally only got Sean Rees behind him now. And unfortunately for Josh Wolf, everything he has done is just puffed away like Harry Potter up a chimney.
Yeah, that really has not helped, and that could put, well, if it finishes like it is, that'll be his worst score of the season. Down in 8th place, because already he's had 2 wins, one at Daytona, one at Suzuka. Then he was 2nd last time out at Mugello, and also back at round 5 at the Red Bull Ring. Watkins Glen, he was 6th, Spa was 4th, and Mid-Ohio 7th. So it is it's making things a little bit spicy, let's say, in the GTD AM class, as Robert Cast trying to close in on Nathan Dowd, and they're in between LMP2 traffic and GTD traffic, which means that the caddy of Nathan Dowd starts to get a little bit of a run, but Robert Cast again managing to make his way through. And now it's the run out of turn 3 in towards Moraine Sweep, and heading into turns 5 and 6. And look at the rate of speed, which I did tell you folks all about a little bit earlier on. Robert Cast just getting past one of the I think that was Bradley Haley on the right hand side. He managed to just get through on, going through the Moraine Sweep and then lining up nice and neatly to get through, and the 90 left at turn 5 before turn 6, and then heading up into the hurry downs through 7 and 8.
Yeah, well, Billy Smith just going through traffic again. It is literally every 6 laps at the moment here. So he's cleared 1. He got past Sheldon Rosenbaum as well in the Ferrari, and is now making his way into the back end of the GTD AM traffic. He's quite lucky this time around because they are fairly spread out compared to how compact they were on the last. Oh, don't, come on, please stop. Do sensible. There you go. Now watch, that car's going to wash out around the outside. He has got past that next GT3. Now he's going to move into 5th again, which would be Dale Green he's coming on top of. So let's see how he handles Dale here and whether or not he can get through. Again, pick a side, stay there and don't move. There we go. Through he goes, and he's going to be wiggling through the leaders of the GTDMs very, very shortly.
Dale Green at the moment, yet to hit a top 3 finish in GTD AM. He's gotten close at Mid-Ohio and Mugello over the last 2 rounds. Was a difficult start to the season for the number 979 from Canada in the Lamborghini Huracan, but let's see if he can. If he's not going to make it into 4th, at least it'll be his 3rd successive top 5 finish in the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge for GTD AM. But Billy Smith, the second, being chased down by the 499 Ferrari of the number 87 of Sheldon Rosenbaum. They're about 2.2 seconds back from each other. But again, you can see these trails because it's quite cloudy here at Road America. You see these trails of either what looks to be exhaust smoke or aerodynamic. You know, like those little channels that you see like in a wind tunnel. That's what it sort of looks like. But whether there is now, I would imagine that's probably not from the tyres, because otherwise it would have been saying on the on our live timing that it would be wet, and it would be quite visible as well. Yeah,
that's what I mean. There's no rooster tails coming off the back of the car, so we're still fairly dry at this moment in time. There isn't any window wipers coming on, so I don't think we need to worry about that either. Austin Diltz here battling away with Morgan Smith. This is a Mustang versus a Lamborghini. And at the moment, Austin's just struggling to get through. I don't think it's going to be long, mind you, before he does get that overtake done. But where are we? 37 minutes on the clock to go. And everything's kind of settled down in the top 2 classes. It's really in the middle of the GTDs with Alex Simonet, Young Park, and Nicholas Davis there as the ones battling away for the lead.
That's what I love about the fact that you've got so many different varieties of powertrain solutions when it comes to GT3, like GTD, like you see with Alex Simonich. You know, 4-litre twin turbo, the V8. But then when we were seeing a little bit earlier on, we are starting to see some pit stops. Ross Booth is the first one to blink in the Porsche and has dropped outside of the top 5. But like I was saying, when we see the Mustang versus Lamborghini battle, especially with, like, say, Morgan Smith and Austin Diltz, you know, it's 5.2-litre naturally aspirated, mid-mounted, rear-wheel drive Lamborghini versus a front-engined V8 Coyote 5.4-litre. You know, that's 330 cubic inches, pushing close to 550 brake horsepower. That's one of the wonderful things I love about GTD, where you have so much variety, it's unheard of.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. So many sort of different makes of cars, you've got different choices. I think this is what separates this GTD class away from the likes of the GTPs. You know, they're all based on a spec, they've got to follow the spec, they all look very samey, just with different badges on. But then you get down into the GTDs, the nitty gritty, the meat of the sandwich, and you get things like a Mustang going full bore with a Lamborghini Huracan. Yeah. Where else would you see it?
Not definitely. Well, you might see it on the Autobahns of Germany if someone owns a Mustang and someone owns something like a Lamborghini Huracan, but then you know, you've got 2 very different ethoses. Yeah, I mean, like you say with GTPs, yeah, they'll have their own powertrain solution, but then I think in GTP, like there is in LMDH in the World Endurance Championship, they're all on a spec chassis, so they'll pick one of 4 chassis providers and stick with that provider to provide the solution for a GTP. So it's nothing you're going to see on the road, whereas these cars here, you could go into your local dealership and go, yeah, I want a Mustang Dark Horse. and you'll have a V8, at least 300 cubic inches, pushing out north of 450 brake horsepower, or you go into the Lamborghini dealership and go like, yeah, I'll have the Huracan Technica you got on the showroom floor. That's the thing. That's what I love about GTDs. The variety being the spice of life, but also the second thing is you can go and, oh, now that was a bit of a moment there for Morgan Smith. So now here comes Austin Dilts in the privateer number 14 Mustang, right up his exhaust pipe, down onto the start-finish straight. Could be a change for P3 here, James.
Yeah, he's pushing him along. I think it's more bump draft him into turn one than actually trying to make an effort to get through. I think he's literally just giving him a little bit of a shove in the process to get him down there. I don't think there's any real aggression, should we say. A little bit of a movement for the Lamborghinis if he's going to go and cover him off. I don't really feel Morgan Smith needs to do that. And I don't think Austin Dilts has got that aggressive body language, to look at making the move. He had a perfect opportunity down into one. I think he's probably fuel saving.
Yeah, because we already saw Ross Booth being the first of the GTD cars to pit. Billy Smith in the number 70 Acura was the first driver to pit for GTPs, but that may not have been on his own, probably by his own doing. Who knows whether he's had a drama early doors in the race. But this is a real interesting battle here. So GTD AM at the minute. Let's have a look at where both... So at the moment, Morgan Smith currently sitting 7th in the championship on, 82 points. So this could be a possible opportunity for Morgan Smith to move ahead of Austin Dilts in the championship standings, because Dilts was only 1 point ahead coming into this 8th round of the season. And
that's what I mean. For Dean Dilts, it's not imperative at this break that he makes this overtake. You know what I mean? It's not one that he can sit there and go, oh, that's where I lost it because I didn't get past it. Dude, we've got plenty more time to go. There's plenty more circuits coming up. I don't think he's going to worry too much about that one place for Dilts. And if he is trying to save fuel, that's an ideal strategy from him as we're going into the last 32.
Yep, so we are literally a stone's throw away from hitting half-time in round 8 of season number 14 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge, being hosted here at America's National Park of Speed at Road America. As we see the two from Composite Performance, Cadin Richardson following in the wheel tracks of Andrew Parker in the number 11 car. So they are literally concentrating on just getting to the end of the race. Sometimes at this point, halfway point of the season, one of the things that you will want to do is to maximise your advantage. And more to the point, for those wondering, well, what is the scoring system? It's 25 points for a win, 23 for second, 21 for third place. That's for the 60-minute, and then of course there are the 90-minute races whenever they do happen. So, but still, Austin Dilts keeping Morgan Smith very, very honest. It looks like Dilts is a bit more happier with the compliance of the Mustang. Morgan Smith, the car looks to be a little bit loose on the back end from time to time, like we saw just a few minutes ago when the Lamborghini in the number 58 went a little bit wide as Pat Pellichat pits from the GTP lead, thereby handing it to Nathan Dowd. Robert Cast has actually been off track in the meantime. And, well, there is Billy Smith coming into pit lane. But here's Robert Cast on the replay. Now, is this of his own making? This is going to be going through into the next left-hander. Oh, it's just like Wolf in the GT3 McLaren. GTD McLaren, wasn't it?
Yeah, turn 6 coming up over the crest of the hill. And then, unfortunately, onto the throttle too early. And around he goes. Richardson and Parker, again, not really showing signs of aggressive motion. Haley is here with Nicholas Davis and Young Park. You'd have to be careful there, Billy, as he's just come out right into GTD traffic. He's going to go straight through, and around he goes. And then Caden Richardson is clearing traffic at the same time. But Young Park, Nicholas Davis, and Bradley Haley still scrapping it out.
Yeah, so again, it's not just the traffic management of getting through the traffic, it's also when you decide to facilitate your pit stops. And as we just saw with Billy Smith II, coming through into the likes of Young Park and Nicholas Davis, who were keeping to the left-hand side of the pit lane exit. So good spatial awareness from them, but Billy Smith just deciding, well, okay, this is where I've ended up. Let's just make the best of it. Now we have Nathan Dowd and Robert Cast both in the caddies, after recovering from that spin through turn 6 just a moment ago. Rosenbaum at the moment is the only GTP left to pit, so he might have done a little bit of fuel saving. So Rosenbaum takes the lead for the number 87 Privateer Ferrari 499 GTP. There it is in its wonderful deep blue livery. Of course, Sheldon would like to see a little bit more colour on that car for the next round.
Please, I want to see a livery on it, Sheldon. They're literally like, they've got it and gone, haven't got one. There must be some on trading paints there, so come on, whack one on. Show us something out of that Ferrari. I don't even care if it's a Ferrari livery. Just give us something other than the blue and black there. I'm sure he will go and make that effort for us for next time around as well. Just broken that halfway mark, 28 minutes now. There is no 90 minutes this season. Everything's 60 minutes on the clock. So that standings, obviously the scoring system will just be as it was that you read earlier on. Richardson's on his way out of the pits. We've got Andrew Parker, Robert Tinsey still to pit, and Sheldon Rosenbaum still to pit as well. Tinsey might go in at the end of this lap. He's on his way down, just gone down through the kink, coming into turn 12 down in Canada Corner.
So Robert Tinsey has led every single lap so far in the LMP2 class, in the 82 car. He's now closing in one of the Acura LSX GTDs and neatly makes his way through. So again, the LMP2 class, one that's very much loved here on the iRacing service. But Robert Tinsey doing exactly what he needs to do, has not put a foot wrong so far. And when you look at his season results in terms of the LMP2 side of things, with Robert Tinsey, yet to take a win and is on course to doing so. So this might be the point of the championship season here on season 14 at round 8, where Robert Tinsey says to the rest of the opposition, including championship leader Carter Cunningham, who's currently now in 3rd place. We have had a couple of pit stops while Cadin Richardson has come in and spent 31 seconds on his marks in pit road, but Tinsey's now saying to everybody else, right, watch your 6 for the rest of the season, because I'm not here just to make up the numbers. I want to get a win. Well,
exactly, and that's the thing for Robert Tinsey. He's got the mantle almost, doesn't he? He can almost pick up the mantle from Robert Cast and open up with his account with a victory. The only problem is he can do that here, but when we go in 2 weeks' time on the 20th to Montreal at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, he's got to do it there. If he does it there, he's then putting a boot down saying, right, this is mine now, come get me. If he doesn't and Carter comes back at him at Montreal, then we know we're in for 2 heavyweight fights going into that final few rounds. So interesting to see here. Nicholas Davis has just come into pit lane at the same time. Wesley Bryce has also not pitted in the LMP2s either, so the LMP2s are still going a little bit longer there. And Sheldon Rosenbaum, I would have thought, should have been coming in this lap in that Ferrari 499.
Okay, looking at fastest lap so far with 25 minutes and 50 to go on the timer. Well, in GTP, it's the number 919 Acura 06 of Pat Palchat on a 1:44.960. LMP2, it's the number 02 of Carter Cunningham, as there we see Sheldon Rosenbaum on this lap, now going into pit lane, lap number 19 for his pit stop. So Pat Palchat resumes the race lead. Carter Cunningham now puts his 02 LMP2 car into pit lane. The man from Composite Performance Platinum. Carter holds the fastest lap in LMP2 on a 1:52.692. Then going down to GTD reference fastest lap, well, that is no surprise, the 250 McLaren of Alex Simonich with a 2:04.204 being the fastest lap time. Then also looking down at GTD AM, well, it's also the class leader in that, in the 929 Porsche Imperial Motorsports Ed Eisenring on a 2:04.878. So some good variances in terms of the different drivers that we have in the Autobahn Sports Car Challenge, but also good to see that people are able to race in their respective classes, and also sometimes at this point in the season, with just under 24.5 minutes to go on the timer here at round 8 at Road America, it's all about running your own race.
Absolutely. You know, the problem is when you're at racetracks like this, you're not racing the people around you. You're racing to try and get as high as you can, make sure your fuel strategy's on point and moving up. And that's the thing. The likes of Alex Simonich, the likes of Young Park, Christopher Pans, Ed Isering are all doing that. And that's the situation for it. You know, Tom Hammond's in a place in the Audi where he's trying to get and stay in contact with Dale Green. So he needs to start looking at trying to pick places up if he can. This is the thing that happened. It's all about basically completing the race as best you can. I can't tell you on that one, but I can tell you Caden Richardson has had a moment. I can't see nothing for Ross Booth. He went into pit lane and he didn't come out, but that's Caden Richardson's incident there again. So, yeah, no idea on that one, Shade, I'm afraid. He literally entered in pit lane and never appeared again.
Yeah, so whether there's been a problem, I mean, he was, when he went into the pits, it was only 5.4 seconds, according to the live timing. We've got a replay coming up. Oh, Joshua Wolf. Well, they do say that bad things do come in threes, and it's going to be a rotation unassisted by anybody else. Joshua Wolf from the team in the McLaren has not had, that is 3 times he's been either caught up in an incident, and that's the second time he has been involved in a self-rotation around the track here.
That is a young man who is trying to push that car to the absolute limit to try and make places up in the last 22 minutes. That's what we've got going on with Josh Wolf. He needs to take a breather, settle himself back down. We know he had the pace and everything else, but he is not doing himself any justice. Whoa!
That was Andrew Parker in the LMP2 class, who was running P2. Now this is going to be heading into turn 1, so down into the braking zone, turns it in, rotates at big speed. Wow. Does the number 11 from Composite Performance Titanium. That dropped him behind Caden Richardson and Carter Cunningham. Now, of course, Richardson did have an off-track, as that was a big moment there. That's more than likely possibly cost Andrew Parker, I think, a net second place, but he's still got 21 and a bit minutes to try and see if he can make it through back into that position. Yeah,
it's interesting to see Carter, who started in pit lane, is now sitting in third, and he's 17 seconds off Robert Tinsey at this moment in time. So it's interesting to see how far Carter can actually get there, as both composite cars go either side of the Audi there of Dale Green. They split him like a ham sandwich and went either side as they coming in underneath now. Be careful of that Lamborghini. Through he goes. Be interested to see how Carter and how high he can get at this moment in time here for Carter Cunningham, because he is obviously fighting it out quite well with Caden Richardson.
Yeah, one of the things that he'll want to do is have that championship lead leaving here at Road America, and in 2 weeks' time heading into the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal in Canada. That is going to be quite important for the number 2. And obviously with Robert Cast now moving up into GTB, he's now got an extensive lead that he will want to keep a hold on. Now, looking at the points in terms of LMP2, he was tied. Well, he wasn't tied, he's leading on. Well, he was tied with Robert Cast. Now, if he gets a net third place, that is going to be 21 points, which will put him on 166 heading into Road America. Now, Robert Tinsey will then move up to 149, because at the moment, while Robert Tinsey's lead over Caden Richardson is 17.1 seconds, and now, well, that gap in the next 20 minutes, I don't see any sign of that changing, because Tinsey, lap per lap, has been at least 2.5 to 3/10 of a second faster than Caden Richardson. So the gap's not just stabilising, it's expanding.
Yeah, it is. It's come down a little bit over the last lap. That's the interesting thing. You can see it has come down a little bit, but only 4 tenths. So I'm going to ignore 18 and 19 because that was purely pit laps. So I'm not even going to really worry about that. It would be more what happens over the next couple that we'll keep an eye on. But the gap is, it's dropping, but I don't think it's going to be dropping enough. I can't see Tinsey losing a 15-second lead in one go. You know what I mean? Unless, of course, he does what some of the other LMP2s have done and drops it on the corner.
Well, not just drop it on the corner, but also gets caught out, because we all know that with the world of sports car racing, as Cadin Richardson gets through on the third place GDT AM car, that is Austin Diltz, who has finally got past Morgan Smith in the number 58 Lamborghini. That was through the pit stop phase, and they're about 14.3 seconds apart. Because one of the golden written rules we know in sports car racing is that it's always down to the faster car to make the move safely, but it's also down to the car that's being passed to give that driver enough room to get through. And we have seen it before, you and I, James, when someone's gone for that move, as in the faster car's gone through, there's enough of a gap, and then the car in front doesn't realise there's someone closing in on them, and then bang, something goes wrong.
It's the same scenario as when GT3s wash out, and they do that a lot, you know, and that's the thing. They do that a lot, and they do wash out. Again, before you ask, Shade, I can't tell you about Sheldon Rosenblum. He goes in, well, he's speeding through pit lane.
Oh, dear.
So now I'm not sure if that's family emergency based, because that's not normal, and then he just quit straight out. So another one that's gone out, okay, unfortunately, on that one. So I can't answer a question on that, but I'll try and do some digging.
Yeah, but good to see that Sheldon Rosenbaum starting his. I think he's raced in GTP this season. So for him to bring the Ferrari 499 GT, prototype onto this championship. Well, it was good to see him at one point taking the race lead, even though he was running as high as the de facto race leader at point. But now we're going to see a real battle here. Carter Kundinger closing in on Cadin Richardson for P2. Now with 17 minutes to go, I think Kundinger is going to go, right, let's see if we can give Cadin a little bit of a scare, and I want to get up into P2.
Yeah, I would have thought Carter would have been able to make that move and get through cleanly, but it's whether or not he's going to be able to get the pace to go and close in on Caden Richardson. I think that's the thing, you know, he's got to clear this Porsche, which he is not doing at all. In fact, it didn't even look like he had the pace at one point. There you go, now he's going to get through and now drops back a little bit behind Caden Richardson. So we'll see how that one goes. Josh Wolf back on the tail again of Chris Sherborne and Dale Green. We've been here before. In fact, we've been here twice before already. Just hope he manages to make it through this time around.
Yeah, Nathan Dowd, I think, had a slight drama just a second ago as we're heading towards the final quarter. The time counting down from 60 minutes to 0. Joshua Wolf, it's been a race that he will very much want to forget and then get himself resettled and ready for 2 weeks' time on January 20th for round 9 at the Gilles Villeneuve circuit in Montreal in Canada. Another 60-minute encounter, and continues the trips to North America and Canada for the remainder of the season. Of course, we visited continental Europe and Asia over the course of the Autobahn Sports Car Challenge for season number 16. Billy Smith II in the number 70 Privateer Acura, 10 seconds behind Robert Karsten, the number 42 car. Car's the new addition, one of the new additions, who's moved up from LMP2 to GTP for this second half of the championship season. But Pat Pelchat looking to be on what will be 168 points come the end of this race, but with 15 minutes to go, Pelchat continues to lead the way in GTP, as does Tinsey in LMP2. Simonich and Eisenring lead out in GTD and GTD AM as we head into the final quarter.
Yeah, we do. I'm trying to look into that, Shade. Ross Booth has said Ross Booth got hit.
Okay. That's an interesting one.
Yeah,
It seems like you found something.
Yeah, this is that's Ross Booth there, but he definitely, I don't think he got tapped. There was nowhere near him.
That went straight on.
Yeah.
That went straight on.
This is the only thing I've got from Ross Booth.
Oh, now was there a little bit of possible Mr. Net code? Because there was an LMP2 car right up his jack seat going into that corner.
Well, that was Robert Cass. So let's see if Robert Cass knows and tell me anything. I don't think he touches him, though. It didn't look like...
No. So Robert was a bit too far away. So whether that just might have been... Unless there's been an issue, Ross.
Yeah, it may have been on that second part of that. Because if you have a look, Cass comes here, goes past one. Now that's... I'm going to presume that is Booth in... No, that's not even Booth in... No, that... I can't see anything, mate. That looks anything... It just looks like Ross got sort of scared of the LMP2 coming at him and almost dropped it on his own.
As if to say, I don't want to be any part of this one iota.
Yeah, because that's an LMP2 of Carter Cunningham.
Also, that might have been a little bit of a touch. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's just cleared Caden Richardson as well while we were trying to hunt.
Young Parks has dropped it. Young Parks has dropped it in GTD.
Yeah, he's gone off at the same time. Oh, this might not be on his own, though. That was a hit.
No, it was definitely not. That was Caden Richardson up his inside.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
So that definitely was a hit from that one, but I can't see anything in conjunction to Booth, mate. So, yeah, maybe he might be able to tell us. Josh Wolf has cleared Dale Green and managed to do that right before the GT, I believe that's the number 5 of the LMP2 of Wesley Bryce comes through to lap the guys. So we got that one done in time there, Josh. But now is he going to be able to make his way forward to break into Tom Hammond, who's 2.5 seconds up the road with 12 minutes to go?
Excuse me. Yeah, this is going to be quite an interesting one for Joshua Wolf. Now that he's got an opportunity to, if he can close that gap to Tom Hammond, which is about 2.5 seconds, that is feasible. Looking at the lap times between the pair, Tom Hammond's last lap was 2.5 tenths of a second slower. So a 2:02, 2:06.259 for Tom Hammond in the Audi. Joshua Wolf close to breaking underneath the 2:05, 2:06 barrier, so he just did a 2:06.014. So keep your eyes on Joshua Wolf, but he's got Dale Green in the 979 Porsche, the Canadian, right behind him. He's 4 tenths behind. So I think Wolf has got to try and push, bring Green along with him, make it a 3-way scrap for P4, and maybe take opportunity in that. And now the gap's gone down a little bit to about 2.2 seconds. Maybe even make that 2 seconds at the moment. So Joshua Wolf on a bit of a tear at the moment in the McLaren.
Yeah, he is, but I don't think he's going to get the likes of Eisenring. I don't even think, I'd be very surprised if even he got up as far. I don't think he's going to even get Austin Diltz, to be honest. He might get Tom Hammond, who's literally just got in front. That was 1.7, but then he's got like 19 seconds. And that, unless he's got nitrous oxide in the car, is never going to happen in a month of blue Sundays that I've never ever seen in my life either. So, yeah.
Touche on that one, good sir.
Mate, yeah, I'm optimistic, mate, that some people's ability outweigh the skill of others, but I'm not optimistic at 19 seconds unless some drama takes place.
I think if Joshua Wolf can get P4 by the end of the race, it'll be a good comeback from what has been two self-induced turnarounds and one being assisted on the very opening stages of the race. But we are getting down to the final 10 minutes, and more to the point, well, Joshua Wolf is pulling away from the Porsche of Dale Green and now finds himself 2.2 seconds behind the Audi that's just in front. That's Josh. So there's Josh Wolf So now, did someone just dive into pit lane, or has there been a problem? Because Joshua Wolf was running P5, so someone's had a moment. It's Austin Dills.
Yeah, he just looks like he's jumped straight back to pit lane, so I'm not entirely sure. Is this coming into... Oh, that's going nowhere quick.
Whee! That's not good.
He's changed gear, his wheel's still moving, and then... Oh, nothing. He hasn't got the rotation. He missed his braking point, and unfortunately, it's gone on for Austin Dilt. So he's now jumped back to pit lane, which probably means this late on, I would be surprised if he comes back out. But never say never, and we'll see what happens. So, and all in that one, Josh Wolf closing in still 1.9 on Hammond. Nick Davis is, interestingly enough, being closed on by Chris Pays.
Nick Davis is currently second in the championship at the moment on 128 points. Now, obviously, there's going to be a closure of that gap. Now, Ross Booth will still score, even though he's a DNF, so he will get 14 points, putting him on 168. But Nicholas Davis is currently on 128. If he finishes third, that's going to put him on 150. Young Park also having dramas in his own right. That will put him, so Young Park currently 98 points. So fifth is 16. That'll put him on 114. So Davis will be only 18 points away. He was 26 behind Booth before this round of the season. So GTD is going to start closing up a little bit. It's also going to bring the likes of Bradley Haley into the mix, because Bradley Haley currently on 93 points. Well, he's on for a P2 finish. That could be very, very encouraging for the driver who has had a P2 before. He was P2 back on the 21st of October at round 3 at Suzuka. So, yeah, this GTD championship is really going to start firing on all cylinders and be very spicy towards the end of it.
Yep, absolutely. I think coming in is, you're now getting to that point, aren't you, where things are going to be bubbling and getting a little bit hotter. You know, we got the Korma, and it ain't going to be very long in a couple of rounds' time before we start getting the Vindaloo. You know what I mean? And that's something to look forward to across all the classes. Probably by about Sebring, we're on the absolutely smouldering hot one. And all the championships are still going to be up for grabs. So I think this could be an interesting one. They've settled down a lot here. There's not a lot of action taking place. This is probably the closest, in fact, it is the closest battle on track of Chris Pays chasing down Nick Davis. But I think you could see this could be, this could get hot towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, looking at how things are working out in GTP, Booth will have an 18 points advantage provisionally going into Montreal ahead of Davis. Bradley Haley will overtake Young Park by 2 points. So that will be a change for third in the championship. So we'll put provisionally Haley on 116 points, Park on 104. And then Christopher Pays in the number 453 Mustang. Running for Imperial Motorsports, he will actually stay in no, hang on, there's one person I'm forgetting here, Alex Simonich. Can't forget that man, because otherwise that would be a bit of a travesty. So Simonich is on 87 points coming into this round, and then you add 25 for a win. That is going to put him smack bang behind Young Park, so that'll put him P5. So Christopher Pays for Imperial Motorsports will drop to 6 in the standings.
Do you know, after that, all that thought process that you just put into that one, Alex, this has blatantly reminded me, never ever as commentators do maths at 3:30 in the morning. Because that just killed my brains listening to you trying to work that one out.
Yeah, well, at least I worked it. The main thing is, right, okay, Sheldon Rosenbaum, he's had a family emergency. Everyone is fine. So glad to hear that, Sheldon. Thank you so much for letting us know in the Discord. But yeah, that's why I like the fact that you can use a smartphone at 3:30 UK time in the morning. That's for myself and James. To work that out. So I am working on provisional scores on the doors once we get into the interviews for a little bit later on, but which isn't that far away, because 5 minutes to go. Pat Pelchat still, literally, we've had no real changes so far for all of the the class leaders. And there is the 919 Solpec racing car, or precision racing vehicle of Pat Pelchat, the 919 from Canada. We'll be going to his home turf next time out in 2 weeks. This is a great way for Pelchat to have a nice bit of confidence and momentum going onto home soil.
Yeah, but he's been, he's done such a good job. This is the thing, isn't it, for Pat? He's had 4 first places across the first half of the season. He won in Mugello, won at the Red Bull Ring, won at Spa, won at Daytona. We had a blip at Watkins where he got 3rd and a 5th at Suzuka. He wasn't here for Mid-Ohio, so he's another one that's been fairly consistent about his racing. So that's how we're gonna see how it goes. You're talking about Paz and Davis. They are literally swapping places in front of the leader, so this could be interesting. So they're still running side by side, and the leader of the GTP is literally in behind them. So Paz has just made it through, but then goes off. That jeopardizes himself again, unfortunately, off the side of the circuit. That Porsche's on the outside. You've got to give him room, bro.
Yeah, that's going to open the door for Pat Pelchat to try and squeeze his way through around the outside, which is exactly what he's going to do right now at a big rate of speed that's north of 120 miles an hour. Pat Pelchat gets around the outside quickly as you like, and then off he goes into the cloudy distance.
Yeah, and he has all got through. Shade, there it is. Yeah, do you know though, Shade, that took literally 7 swaps before this was actually taken. This was actually done and dusted. This is the first one coming down into turn 1. This is Paz passing Davis. Then Davis got him back just coming down into turn number 2. This is a battle that raging on for literally half of this lap, right up until turn 6. So there's Davis back through. Then that Mustang decides that it's going to open up the horses and go again here. He closes in, gets him on the run down into turn 5, down the marine sweep. Davis on a big old defense there, comes all the way to the other side. So this goes on for quite a while, and as I say, it's 7 swaps before we got the final resolution of Paz getting through. They're side by side again. Davis now goes back through. That's number 4. And then they go again coming up the hill over 6, and there's the leader. So there's,
musical chairs.
Yeah, to be fair, they made it half a lap without any form of drama. So fair play to them on that one. And now Paz is making a move away. Cunningham has got Richardson closing back in. Where is Pelchat? He's going to get at least, what's the lap time? 140, 148 last time around. Should get one more lap after this one.
Yeah, so Carter Cunningham and Cadin Richardson line astern in each other's wheel tracks at the moment as we head into the final minute and a half here of season 14 of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge, round 8 at Road America. And you can just see how close these guys are coming through the 90 right here at T1, down the dip through the cloudy, murky conditions that we've had all the way through here at Road America. And there you can see the respective temperatures, 20 degrees on the track, 18 degrees in the air, and of course running on April 1st 2025. Well, that's a few months away for us in real time, but 9:02 in the morning. But you can see that Cadin Richardson is saying to Carter Cunningham, right, come on man, I'm just wondering, is there a little bit of inter-team communication between these two, as if for Cadin to say to Carter, come on man, you shouldn't be there in second, I need the points.
Well, it could be. Pat Pelchat has just gone and started his final lap for Solpec, and he's going to basically just absolutely dominated, isn't he, really? Let's be real. He's out in front by 24 seconds. It's kind of game over. Dowd is wrapped up in second place at the same time, so fair play to them guys, with Robert Cass on his debut in the GTP in 3rd. So a great job from Robert Cass there. Tinsey never did drop that 15-second lead, and is now, and he's down to 10, mind you. Never dropped the 15, and Richardson's still chasing down Cunningham.
Yep. Well, we are coming down to the final few seconds. Timer effectively now hit 0 as Pat Pelchat in the number 919 GTP for Solpec, one of the more recent companies to appear at the ADAC, well, the Sim Racing Expo in Dortmund last October. The Solpec Precision Racing Acura 06 making its way through into the kink here at turn number 11 at a big rate of speed. And Pat Pelchat not lifting. Looks to be one of the GTD AM cars in front. I think that's Morgan Smith, who's had a race to forget. Now into Canada corner for the final time. But it has been a real dominant display by all our class leaders here at round 8. And more to the point, it is going to really help Pat Pelchat continue to extend his lead in the championship here in season 14 out of the final corner. Pelchat takes the checkered in the 919 Acura for Solpec Precision Racing, winning by the best part of nearly half a minute.
He has absolutely taken that over Nathan Dowd by a country mile. nearly 25 seconds. So Nathan Dowd there comes up over the line as well and gets the job done. Fair play to him. Robert Cass is going to come in third place. I believe that's Alex Simonek coming over for the lead of the GTDs. He wraps up the victory there with Bradley Haley, who's 6 seconds back on that one. So great win from Bradley Haley. And then it's going to be close, actually, because Eisenring is just about coming over the line in front of Robert Tinsey. In fact, they might.
Yeah, they might do a formation, you never know. But Eisenring is going to be pulled along. Tinsey's going to get his first win of the season, taking the victory in LMP2. Ed Eisenring makes it 9 points provisionally between himself and Joshua Wolf, who looks to be finishing in fourth place. So Carter Cunningham continues to hold on to his championship lead. Obviously, it's now going to be the battle between him
lose that. Hold on, sorry. Caden Richardson's in pit lane and has actually lost third place to Andrew Parker.
No, you know what that means? I think he's
run out of fuel. He might run out of fuel. He literally didn't even make it through. He's just literally stopped and run out of fuel. So there we go. Tom Hammond is just awful at the end. Just about comes over the line in front of Joshua Wolf. That was closer than I expected there as well. But Hammond does manage to grab it on that one. But Cunningham just goes to show how much pace he's got. He starts from pit lane and finished second in class. So, you know, the kid's a class above the rest, isn't he, really? But a great job from all of them. That is the end of the race. And there we go, dear sir. Results are on your screen.
Well, after round 8 of the 14th season of the Autobahn Sportscar Challenge here at Road America, it is Pat Pelchat for Solpec Precision Racing in the 919 Acura from Canada, who goes to his home turf in 2 weeks, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal in Canada, with not only an extensive lead, which is north of 22 points. He wins by 24.8 seconds ahead of Nathan Dowd for Sector 5. Robert Cast rounds out the top 3 in GTP for the Composite Performance Platinum crew, also running in the Cadillac. And then we have Billy Smith, the second of the 2 Acuras, and the number 70 rounding out the top 4. Unfortunately, Sheldon Roseman retiring on lap 21. Robert Tinsey takes his first win for Satellite Racing and for the LMP2 class here in season 14, ahead of Carter Cunningham by nearly 12 seconds, with Andrew Parker in a shock development taking third place for Composite Performance Titanium, whilst Caden Richardson's Composite Performance Carbon ending up in pit lane as he was heading to the finish line. Wesley Bryce rounds out the top 5. No, Fozzie Fozzillo didn't make it out onto the grid, nor in qualifying. Alex Simonek takes the win in GTD ahead of Bradley Haley for Sector 5 Racing with the number 428, finally getting another top 2 position. Christopher Pais for Imperial Motorsports makes it 2 pony cars in the top 3 in GTD, with Nicholas Davis Young Park rounding out the top 5. Ross Booth out on lap number 11. And more to the point, Ed Eisenring in the 929 Imperial Motorsports Porsche 911 takes the win in GTD AM ahead of Mark Kudrowski and Tom Hammond rounding out the top 3. It was a difficult race for Joshua Wolff for Sector 5 Racing in the 314 McLaren. One assisted, 2 unassisted events for the 720S, but he managed to round out the top 4. Ahead of Dale Green, Chris Sherburn, Morgan Smith, with Sean Rees being the last of the classified finishers. And unfortunately, on lap 23, Austin Diltz in the GTD AM Mustang would retire from the race. And that are your provisional results. So looking at it from this perspective, GTP, Pat Palchett will have 168 points going into Montreal. LMP2, Carter Kundiger will have 147. Looks like Ross Booth will have 168 and continues to lead GTD. And Joshua Wolff will have a 9-point lead over Ed Eisenring going into Montreal next week. But let's have a chat with some of our drivers that have been racing here. And you know what? First of all, let's see if we can bring in our winner in the GTD class, the number 250 of Alex Sibonich, led every single lap. Alex, welcome into the booth. Congratulations. A great run for yourself in the 250 McLaren, finishing just 6.1 seconds ahead of Bradley Haley in the Mustang. How's that for a good way to bring yourself back in for season 14?
It was good, yeah. I wanted to change stuff up for the next half of the season, and I figured changing from the Mustang to the McLaren would be a fun challenge. I've never really driven the McLaren before, and it turned out all right.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it was. I think one of the things we know about Road America, it was about having that nice balance between straight line speed and also the aerodynamics of a GTD car. So, as you said, moving into the McLaren, how did you feel it contributed to your increase of performance for this round of the season and going into the second half after the festive holidays?
The car was way more balanced than the Mustang. I know when I was trying to do some laps in the Mustang, the rear was really wanting to kick out, and I tried everything I could to like tame it in the setup. But with the McLaren, it was very balanced. The tires were super consistent, so it just allowed me to be more confident within the corners.
Now, 2 weeks' time, we head to Montreal to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Are you going to be sticking with the McLaren first of all?
I think I will be. It's going to be a hard race given that Daytona is the weekend before, so there'll be limited practice time, but I'm looking forward to it. The McLaren should be pretty responsive over the curbs, which is what you want at Montreal.
Definitely. And also, one of the good things is with your victory here at round 8 at Road America, Alex, the fact that you're now in the top 5 provisionally in the championship standings after you win here at Road America. Well done tonight, and thanks for jumping into the commentary box for an interview post-race.
Of course. Thank you very much.
So, and Alex, before I forget, anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, definitely the folks over at WSR Buckkicker Esports. They're my esports family and love them very much. Love to goof around with them. Also, shout out to my dad. I know he watches a lot of races, and this one's for you. Love you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much to Alex Simonich in the 250 McLaren, our winner for GTD for round 8. Let's bring in our LMP2 class winner from Satellite Racing, Robert Tinsey, who won by nearly the best part of 12 seconds. Robert, welcome into the booth. Congratulations. And finally, you've got a win on the board for season 14.
Yeah, thank you. Got a little lucky with Mr. Cast jumping into the GTPs, and I think my DDoS worked against Carter, so I was very lucky.
Oh, an impromptu DDoS attack.
Yep.
But still, it was a pretty calm performance. I mean, obviously there were dramas with Carter in the early stages of the race, an early pit stop, which meant he had to take a trip through pit road. But of course, with you guys at Satellite, I've known about you guys for years. It's always about just knowing where to place the car, run out the strategy, and even though we're halfway through the season, we're going to have a bit of a spicy fight, I think, in LMP2 for the championship. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's with all the changes they made to this car recently, it's very tricky. Before I could just kind of rely on old setups and kind of see what worked and made tweaks from there. But I think I found just really a setup that just gave me good balance, and that's all I could really hope for with all those changes.
Now we head to a very, very high-speed relevant circuit, of course, Montreal, 2 weeks' time from now. It's going to be about getting that fine balance, as you said, Robert, with regards to getting the nice balance here at Road America. You've also got to have that nice balance between top speed, but also aerodynamic flexibility at Montreal. You've got to go a bit all guns blazing around that circuit a little bit, haven't you? But you've got to have that nice compromise in the corners.
Yeah, definitely. With all the slow speed corners, it might be a little tricky. It just seems like a lot of the oomph is gone from the car, and with the gearing, I don't know. It's really weird. It's almost like you want to trade just more downforce for more top end where the car currently stands.
Well, Robert, I've done some calculations, even though it's stupid o'clock in the morning here in the United Kingdom, where myself and James are broadcasting from. But this puts you to now within 10 points of Carter going into round 9. That must be a pretty good feeling to have, huh?
Oh, I actually had no idea. I hadn't even looked at the standings at all this season.
But it puts you now in the hunt. It really, really does. And I was saying to James earlier on in the broadcast that this is the opportunity for someone to come along and say, right, I'm not here just to make up the numbers. You've got close to a win. Now you've finally got it. And now you've got that motivation and, that bit of joie de vivre to push you forward, haven't you?
Oh yeah, definitely. It feels good to finally get a win after going so long without one, and yeah, a little low turnout today, so that helped me as well. But we're hoping for more as people come back from the holiday breaks and everything get settled in.
Brilliant, Robert. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, just our boys at Satellite Racing, and yeah, that's Dr. Dabber as well, one of our main sponsors. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much there to Robert Tinsley, our LMP2 class winner for Satellite Racing, winning by just under 12 seconds. We've got time for another couple of interviews. Let's bring in our runner-up in from GTD AM, and I think it's Mark Kudrowski. Good evening, Mark.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, and you?
Not too bad. Not a shabby result there at all. P2
Yeah.
in Road America. I mean, Edris ran away with it, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and in the first lap, at the bottom of the hill, I was racing with Josh Wolf, and we were running side by side, and I don't think he saw me at the bottom of the hill. Just a little, break. Just, So my front bumper was covering his rear, quarter, and so it's like he didn't anticipate that, and then so he turned in early and took himself out for a spin, but he recovered. So sorry about that, Joshua. If you feel bad about that, but other than that, it was just maintaining my gap between trying to catch Ed. And then, not being able to do it, traffic, and just he's too fast. And then Morgan Smith was coming up behind me, but he must have spun or crashed out. So I just maintaining. So it was good. Last half of the race was just, great.
And this now becomes your best result of the season so far.
Yeah.
So a third at Spa, back at round 4 in November. And then Mugello, but just before the festive season, you put in a P3 and now a second here.
Yeah.
At Road America. Mark, there's one more space on that podium you've got to get to, the top.
I know. I need to do it. Well, it's a long season, so we're into the second half, so not even 2/3 of the race in, so I've got a chance to not win, but get third or something like that in the amateur class, so that's great.
Brilliant. Well, Mark, thank you so much for jumping into the booth to have a chat with us post-race. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Oh, no one in particular except for Carter and John for putting on this league. I've been in it aside from one or two seasons since the first one, so it's long-lasting, and I thank you guys for it.
So there we go. Mark Kudrowski, our second place finisher in GTD AM. We've got time for one more interview, and I think without further ado, it's someone who had to make a bit of a fight back through the LMP2 class. Let's see if we can bring in Carter Cunningham into us. Carter, good evening. Well, that was a bit of a struggle for you tonight here at Road America. Tell us what happened with the first trip into pit lane.
Yeah, I mean, it was more of just like I never left pit lane because the session switched over to the race and my computer went black. So I was like, oh, that's awesome. So, and it's great too because of course the one time my what I call him is my backup admin is not here is the one where my PC crashes. So I hope they did the start properly. I have no clue. I couldn't have seen it, but yeah, no, definitely wasn't ideal. So starting 20 seconds behind the entire LMP2 field would not recommend.
But still, I always had that feeling that there might be an opportunity for you to get yourself into the top three, of course. Smaller grid on LMP2 here for Road America, but still to get P2 at the end of it, continue to lead the LMP2 class, even though Robert has moved up to GTP now. You've got some opposition coming your way, especially with Robert Tinsey from Satellite Racing, who led pretty much all the way, despite your dramas early doors in the race.
Yeah, no, he is one where he's had some really good pace here at Road America, and I knew he'd be fast. I've raced with him for numerous seasons now, and it always seems like we always have some sort of come together during Road America. So when he outqualified me, I mean, I had to give props to him. Like I think I definitely didn't hit the setup properly, but at the same time, he had some really good pace. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of keep it through the remainder of the season here. But yeah, no, like you said, getting a second out of here, I couldn't have really asked for much more, to be honest. I knew it was going to be a stretch, and I knew I had to play something crazy. I knew that we were going to take enough fuel that the guys were going to want to take tires and basically have free tires. So tried to take advantage of that and them losing enough time with the cold tires and decided not to take tires, and it seemed to pay out at the end.
Brilliant. Well, Carter, of course, we've got the trip to Montreal to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada next week, 2 weeks' time. That's going to be a taller. I mean, Robert's already discussed with me about the updates to the LMP2 cars, that a bit more of a different beast to handle now.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. That was kind of the big difficulty with tonight. It's obviously they did the update just a couple weeks ago to the LMP2, so all setups prior to the update basically got thrown in the trash. So I was kind of working with some limited resources here tonight. And I think Montreal will be another one where I don't know if I'm going to have a setup that's ideal for it. So we might have to see if we can Frankenstein something together, but I know it's going to be tough, especially with the Daytona 24 coming up just a couple days before that. So it's definitely it's different. I wouldn't say it's bad. It's different. Just a lot of getting used to. It's nothing like basically learning a car from scratch. So it's a challenge to say the least.
Yeah, especially as you said, the first major iRacing special event, the 24 at Daytona, coming up soon. But well done on the comeback, Carter, tonight. Very much wonderful to see that. But anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
Yeah, cheers, guys. Now I just shout out obviously to the guys at Composite. We had a pretty decent race there at the end. Caden kept me on my toes, and I tried to just keep him behind me there. So then he ran into some luck or bad luck on that last lap. And then our sponsors, Grid Engineering, SimLab, and of course P1 Docs. They gave me a pretty decent baseline set tonight. I still need to work on it a little bit more, but yeah, no. Shout out to those 4 things.
Brilliant, Carter. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck in a couple of weeks' time, and also good luck to the team at the upcoming iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Well, Mr. Parfitt, great to hear from some of our drivers from their respective classes, but that was a very, very interesting round 8 at Road America, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's going to lay down some markers. As I said, can Robert Tinsey keep up the pace? Can anybody get hold of Pat Pelchet's broadband cable? Can Alex Simonek go and continue his pace in GTDs? Is Josh Wolf going to come back with a bang in the GTD AMs at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve? So lots to play for. Lots to play for. You know, I don't really know what they're going to have to do in the GTPs, to be blatantly honest. I think Pat could probably may have wrapped this up.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is that if they take out the fibre optic cabling for the Canadian, then he might have to use his 5G personal hotspot.
Yeah, probably. And he'd possibly still win. There we go.
Exactly. But folks, that's wrapping up coverage here on the JP Broadcasting Network for the Autobahn Sports Car Challenge season number 14 round here at Road America. You joined myself, Alex Goldschmidt, and James Parfitt across the way for the last hour and a half or so. And we'll see you next time when Montreal sees the Autobahn Sports Car Challenge roar into Canada for round 9. Until next time, well, race hard, race fair, and if in doubt, go flat out. Good night.